Hi there, my name is Dan Lyons, and coming up in just a moment, I'm going to show you how I'm going to give you an exact blueprint to start your own successful podcast or take your existing podcast to the next level of professionalism. You see, I'm a #1 rating radio broadcaster of over 15 years, and I've had my radio shows being broadcast all around the world, in the US, the UK, Australia, and Europe. And some people even refer to me as the DJ to the stars, which basically means I've worked with people like Ben Stiller, Jodie Foster, Anne Hathaway, Steve Carell, Meatloaf, and other Hollywood types. But when I'm not indulging the egos of mega celebrities, I'm also a podcast consultant. You see, I've launched loads of different podcasts over the years, and I've achieved some pretty incredible results. I've been featured in iTunes multiple times, and that's not just the one iTunes store in the US, but I've been featured in the US iTunes store, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, which has meant that I've literally reached thousands of listeners. And in the case of my recent podcast, I was actually attracting 350 new listeners a day. That really is quite an incredible result. And here's how I did that. You see, my podcast was featured in the new and noteworthy section in the iTunes store. As you can see here, my little podcast is the one that's in the red square. And this podcast attracted 350 new leads a day to my business, which just did incredible things for me. But what about you? The reason that you're here today is because you're probably a little frustrated by this idea of podcasting. Or maybe you're sick of wasting time and you're just ready to quit. Or perhaps you're worried about spending the big bucks to get started and you've heard lots of conflicting information online. What I want you to do is take a deep breath and just stop for a moment. And I want you to take away all the information that you've been gathering on podcasting and how you can get started. And I want you to just listen for the next 5 to 7 minutes about exactly what it is I've got to say, because I'm going to make things really, really easy for you. You see, if you would like to save time, save money, and save effort, then I think that I can help. You see, a podcast consultation with me can do a couple of things. Firstly, we can really streamline your approach to podcasting so you don't make those costly mistakes and go down those ongoing rabbit holes that so many people tend to go into. In a podcast consultation with me, I can give you tailored advice. You see, a big part of it is for me to listen to your goals and actually what you want to achieve, and then coming back to you with advice that's specific to your situation and relevant to you. I can also help you develop a strategy to attract lots of listeners and succeed fast. Essentially, what I'll do in a podcast consultation is give you an exact blueprint for your own personal success. You see, the way I work is you tell me what you want to focus on, and then I get to work giving you really easy solutions. And you see, there's so much stuff that I can help you with. It doesn't matter where you are along the path with your own podcast, I'm sure I can help. Equipment, so what hardware and software that you actually need to get. Did you know there's actually free software out there for podcasters to use that's brilliant software, but not many people actually know about it? Well, in a podcast consultation, I'll tell you things like that. Also, I show you how to plan a show effectively. Remember, I've had 15 years experience as a professional radio broadcaster. So what I'll be teaching you in these consultations is stuff that nobody else knows about unless you're a professional broadcaster. And to my knowledge, there's no other podcast consultant that is. I also help you with deciding on a format and why a format is so important. And it's kind of like the foundations when you're building a house. It's going to help hold up the structure. And content generation is something that a lot of people ask me about. So in other words, how do I keep coming up with material for my podcast? Well, again, it's really easy to do when you know how. And I'm going to draw on my expertise as a radio DJ to help you with that. Also, monetization. So if you're a business and you're setting up a podcast, you want to create another revenue stream. Well, a podcast can do that, and it can do it pretty easily, and I'll show you exactly how you can do that. Podcast marketing. So there's no point having a fantastic podcast and it sounds great, but no one's listening. Well, don't worry about that, because I'm going to show you through all of my experience how you can market your podcast effectively to the world. And I'll show you the exact strategy that I used to attract 350 new listeners a day to my podcast. And much, much more. You see, I can help you build a podcast from the ground up, or I can coach you to make your current podcast sound more professional with tips and techniques and secrets from the professional radio industry. So who is a podcast consultation for? Well, it's for large corporations that want to get their brand out there. It's also for small businesses who want to attract new leads and prospects, charities, churches, religious groups, individual hobbyists. You see, I've worked with just about every type of client, and all of them have come away absolutely delighted with the results after their podcast consultation. Now, what you can actually do if you want to is pause this video and have a read through just a few of these consultations to get an idea of the results that I'm getting for some of these clients. This client up the top here, Cameron, said, Dan's advice helped my podcast race to the top of the iTunes charts. As a result, I had 100 new people every day listening to my podcast and finding out about my business. So these types of results from clients are not uncommon when they have a podcast consultation with me. So let me explain how a consultation works. Basically, the consultation itself goes for 1 hour, and it's a consultation that takes place over Skype. Now, Skype is a free bit of software that you can download onto your computer, and it allows us to actually talk for free. So first off, we don't need to pay any massive phone bills. Secondly, the other thing about Skype is it's a video chat. So if you're comfortable, and you certainly don't have to, but it allows us to talk face to face, which I always find is a really nice way of doing business. The other great thing about Skype is it allows me to share my screen with you, and it allows you to do the same. Now, this is really beneficial if you have any sort of technical issues with hardware or stuff like that. You want me to take a closer look at your audio settings in your computer. All you have to do is click one button and I can see your screen and then talk you through what you need to do to get things fixed, even if I am in a totally different country. It's quite amazing, actually. Now, once our session is finished, I actually send you a recorded audio copy of our session. So this is brilliant because what I find is when the session is over, a lot of times people can't remember exactly what's gone on. You know, when you walk out of just seeing a new film and somebody says, what was that film about? And you can barely remember anything. It's like your mind is on rewind. Sometimes that can actually happen with a consultation session. So I send you a full 60-minute copy of our chat, which means that you're able to listen back to it. And what I find is sometimes when people listen back the second and third time, they're picking up things which they didn't hear or necessarily understand the first time round. So that's why I insist on doing that. Also, at the end of our session, I'll give you a PDF document with all the recommended resources that I actually talk about. So what this means is when the actual session is going on, you're engaged, you're present, you're not worried about writing down notes furiously. You're actually able to ask the questions that you want to ask. And you can just relax knowing that that PDF document with everything I recommend is on its way. Also, I give you 2 weeks email access to me after the actual consultation because I understand that you're going to have ongoing questions, and that's a real big one as well. So you're not going to be left high and dry once the consultation is over. You're more than welcome to send me emails for up to 2 weeks after the session. Now, today I'm also offering you a free gift with your podcast consultation. And here's what that is. It's my Podcast Like a Radio DJ course. Now, the value of this course is $297. So what is this Podcast Like a Radio DJ course? Well, it's a complete video training course that takes you all the way from the beginning stages of podcasting to being an absolute expert. And it contains all my radio DJ secrets, techniques, tricks, to get you dominating in the iTunes store with your very own podcast. And I also find that this video course is an excellent follow-up support from the consultation because it means that you can watch the videos in your own time at your own pace. So, how much for a consultation? Well, the 1 hour Skype consultation is $347. Now, that's just for the consultation. But today I'm going to include a free copy of my video course, which is valued at $297 when you book a consultation. So let's just do the math. 347 plus 297 equals $644 is the total value of this package, $644. But here's the thing. Because I would like to welcome you as a new customer, I'm offering you a very special package. You get the podcast consultation and access to my podcast course for just $347. So you only pay for the consultation. I will give you the course for free. The other thing is, if you aren't 100% thrilled with your podcast consultation, I will give you your money back. Bottom line is, your success is my business. So I want you to be 100% thrilled with the podcast consultation. So to fast track your podcasting success, you can order your consultation right now. Just scroll down and you'll see a little payment area. Just leave your details and click the Order Now button, and you will order your podcast consultation right away, and I'll send you immediate access to the podcast course so you can start doing a bit of background work on that before we actually catch up for our session. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I look forward to working with you soon.